What's up, guys? I'm Josh Pate. That's Steve Wiltfong. It is the weekly Wiltfong recruiting whip around. Steve, we got a big week coming up. We got a big year coming up. So Ty Simpson, his commitments on deck. Will Johnson, his commitments on deck. And we're going to touch on both of those guys. But also on Wednesday, we have a 2022 rankings update. Very curious about some of the top uncommitted prospects there and what you had to say about them.
Yeah, man. On Wednesday, you'll be able to come to the 24/7 Sports website and read what I'm hearing on the top 10 uncommitted prospects in our updated rankings. Let's talk about three of those here on this show. Let's start with Shamar Stewart, the top 247 defensive end out of the state of Florida. I talked to a source close to him, and he said it's changed up a little bit. And so what he means by that, LSU had been the perceived favorite for much of his process. And my source says that LSU is still up there for him, but they got company. Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, and local Miami doing all the right things to keep Shamar home. And the source went further and said that if anyone's going to challenge LSU in this one, to really keep an eye on Georgia, the University of Miami, and Ohio State. Let's stay at the position. Defensive end, Enai White out of Philadelphia, Imhotep High. There's about 7 or 8 schools, Josh, really coming at him hard. Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Penn State. He zoomed with James Franklin the other day. Miami, Florida, Georgia, USC, and Oregon. Those schools are in consistent contact with Enai White. But right now, the edge in this marathon goes to Alabama. You guys all saw the video of Enai zooming with Nick Saban. That's the prospect that Nick Saban was talking to that went viral with his pitch about why a young man should play at Alabama. No surprise that Alabama has emerged as the front runner in this recruitment, but it's not just Coach Saban. Coach Sal Sunseri very much involved. New coach Doug Maroney also in the picture. So those coaches have put Alabama in a great spot. Ryan Day and Larry Johnson from Ohio State zoomed with them last week. Clemson's pushing hard, and I talked about Coach Franklin at Penn State. So that one is nowhere close to being settled, but I like where Alabama's at for him. And then let's talk about the number one athlete in the country, Keon Sabb, who's from New Jersey, but he's transferring to IMG Academy to play his senior season. Schools in the mix for him: Clemson, Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, Penn State, Michigan, Oregon, of course, local Rutgers doing everything they can to keep him home. But I think 3 schools to keep an eye on there. Source said Clemson's doing a hell of a job. Georgia and Bama, they've been aggressive with what they can offer. Keon as well. So those are the 3 schools that I'm looking at strongest right now for him in that recruitment.
Big time weekend of commitments coming up. Let's start on Friday. Ty Simpson. This was delayed a week because of the weather we had here in the Volunteer State. Last week when we talked, Steve, it was an Alabama-Clemson battle. Have things changed at all there?
Hey, Ty Simpson's one of the most coveted quarterbacks in the country, 1 or 2 on several recruiting boards, and he's going to make his decision on Friday. In the last 3 weeks, I've heard the same thing, Josh. Clemson with the edge, but mind not made up, and he's still talking to Bill O'Brien and Nick Saban in Alabama and the new staff, Coach Heupel and company at Tennessee, and did a heat check on this one over the weekend, and I still liked where Clemson stood for Ty, but he had one more big Zoom scheduled with Bill O'Brien, who he said talking to Bill O'Brien about college football is like getting a PhD on the gridiron, and then Coach Heupel and that offense that he had at UCF and Mizzou, I think is real exciting for him and potentially staying at home and all of that. So even though I like where Clemson stood going into this week, I still wasn't ruling out Alabama or Tennessee. We'll see where things stand on Friday, and if Alabama or Tennessee could turn the momentum of that recruitment away from Clemson.
Then as soon as we get Ty Simpson in the rearview mirror, there's not much time to rest because we got Will Johnson coming up this weekend too. What's the latest there?
Yeah, the 24/7 Sports composite 5-star cornerback from Michigan is the number one player in that state. And Josh, until Michigan hired Maurice Linguist to be their cornerbacks coach, that young man was going elsewhere. He was going to go to either rival Ohio State or he was going to go to USC. I like Michigan. I recently increased my confidence on the 24/7 Sports crystal ball in Michigan's favor for them to keep Will Johnson at home. I think the hiring of Maurice Linguist and what he's done in his career at places like Minnesota and Texas A&M and then in the NFL, I think that has made Michigan exciting. In addition to Michigan hiring Mike McDonald to run their defense from the Baltimore Ravens, I think that the Will Johnson camp sees Michigan and its program on the uptick with some of the coaching changes that they made here in the offseason. Before that, Ohio State led. And I think here late, if it's not Michigan, you're keeping an eye on USC. And he went out and visited the Trojans this summer. He's very close with Damani Jackson, the 5-star cornerback who's committed to USC. Will's family spent time with Damani's family out there in LA. And Dante Williams, man, nobody did a better job recruiting Will Johnson than Dante Williams, one of the ace recruiters nationally. But I give the edge to Michigan going into that announcement. It'd be a major coup for the Wolverines, keep the number one player in the state home and have some momentum going into the spring and summer for them.
Busy week. Got rankings updates. Got 2 big commitments this weekend. Keep it locked on 247sports.com for all the latest. Steve, have yourself a great week, my friend.
Take care, y'all. See you on the blue board.